to deal with them.
So that's an interesting one that we really haven't seen that much of. Oftentimes you do see an Aatrox into set, or even a Kale, which is something that TSM tried last week. The Shen is something that actually has kind of sneaky scaling, but does have to play weak side for the early portions of the game. So let's look for C9's early game and how much Blabber can influence the mid and bottom half of the map, because it does seem like Licorice is being on the defensive with this Shen pick.
I'm going to be watching very closely Bjergsen's ultimate timings and placements and the decision-making around them. That's the entire reason you draft this champion. Bjergsen has, as I've already said in the past, showcased an ability to have a really good understanding of when somebody's in danger and when they're not, and how to get those ults off successfully. And him being able to save somebody from a Sleepy Trouble Bubble or a Leona CC chain is the difference between winning and losing these fights against a team that has honestly just been on another level of coordination compared to all their opponents.
Yeah, Bjergsen has played the Zilean once this split. It was in a loss earlier on in the season towards TSM. All time in his career, according to Games of Legends, he's played it 25 times at a 76% win rate. It's actually one of his highest win rate champions of all time. So usually pulls it out on the right situations. It'll be fun to see how he uses it this game, as you mentioned.
But you've gotta go into every Cloud9 game if you're the team that's not Cloud9, just with some sort of a really hard forged plan.
Yeah.
Because it's very obvious, just going in and winging it and hoping for the best won't work. Cloud9 always seem like they have everything planned out. We've seen this team make coordinated, aggressive moves, not just winning because they're better than their opponents, but because they're thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah. Dueling chants coming out of the audience right now.
I love it.
It is interesting to me how the TSM cadence is being disrupted by the C9 chants. It's almost like the TSM was going in 2 syllables instead of the normal 3.
That's the power of Cloud9.
TSM is bending to Cloud9's will.
Cloud9 is so strong in this split so far. They have even managed to warp the one chant that permeates all international competition, as Licorice finds himself eating a little bit of damage here on the top side. TSM going for something cheeky, but they'll only get a little bit of damage. Licorice not going to quickly use any of those summoner spells for no reason. And honestly, no big deal.
Yeah, interesting how C9, Vulcan, and Sven actually invaded red side, but didn't even opt to drop that early game ward on the Jarvan. That's usually what will happen when a team invades top side, but maybe they're just confident enough that he's going to start there anyway, and they want to save their ward for later. You can actually see C9 ended up warding right here, which would generally be the path that Jarvan has to walk through if he ends up doing a level 2 gap.
Just making sure they're careful about Dardoch having that level 2 opportunity to get into a lane. Jarvan, a champion that's very adept at just needing those 2 levels to make something happen early on. But if it's just getting himself a flash, Broken Blade with a cheeky face breaker there to grab a little bit of damage onto Licorice's Shen. As you said, Licorice will be playing off the back foot for most of this lane. Yeah. Most likely, that's pretty much the story of any melee matchup into set. He just tends to dominate them pretty heavily. As bottom side, Sven and Vulcan with the misfortune, the Leona counter pick into the Xayah and Rakan. Nice stun comes down there. Biofrost eats quite a lot of damage, and that's half his HP taken off.
Quality fingers there by Vulcan, sidestepping the W, then walking up in order to get the Q. You see already getting that mid shove early on Bjergsen. And let's focus in on this Zilean versus Zoe matchup a little bit, because I'm really fascinated by how it's going to play out. Not many people play Zilean, so this is the curveball that TSM is trying to throw in this draft. Everything else is fairly standard in terms of what is meta. Yeah. I want to see, once Zoe hits 6, if Bjergsen can actually plant bombs at the ultimate site of Zoe. Right? You know how he dashes forward and then will guarantee bounce back? How well is Bjergsen going to be able to manipulate that one as Blabber does a little bit of counter jungling?
Blabber gets himself in there. He steals away the large chicken. Dardoch finds a quick trade onto him, but Blabber is now reinitiated. 3 little chickens left alive, grabbing a bit of damage. Dardoch gets away, but Flash expended at 100 HP is all he's got left in the tank. Vulcan makes a rotation up through the enemy jungle just to make sure TSM can't collapse onto Blabber here. And I'll call that one a win for C9, getting the flash out of the TSM jungle.
And Broken Blade had actually roamed all the way down from the top lane in case that fight did sprawl for longer. That may have been one of the reasons Cloud9 decided to move back. It doesn't cost Broken Blade much because he does have such control over that top side.
Licorice just continues to farm up underneath the turret. He has that wave building up now because the wave collided into the turret. It has now been stacking up. It'll push back towards Broken Blade. He was aware of that. Niski now moving up towards this top side river. Sees that the Scuttle Crab has been taken by their opponents. Bjergsen taking this opportunity to go ahead, go back to base. He does have the teleport to return to lane. Also running the Summoner Spellbook here on the Zillion, so we'll have to keep an eye on how he switches those out as the team fights happen.
Yeah, you can see, at least in the spring split, Zyra Khan has been the go-to for TSM. 66% of their 6 wins with this combo.
Oh, Vulcan goes in right as Dardoch makes an appearance here in the bottom lane, and that means Vulcan has to instantly flash away to make sure he doesn't get jumped on. Nice movement there from TSM's jungler to punish what he read as the right situation of Cloud9 aggression.
Yeah, really good appearance there by Dardoch, not even having to do anything to get the flash of the support. And the question will be whether or not they can eventually punish that, because that lane is going ever so slightly small advantage for C9, but definitely nothing too noteworthy in this early game in terms of breaking the game open.
Also have to, the game will be severely limited by the fact that you always have to consider the stand united. Now, there are tools in Broken Blade's kit, both the Facebreaker and the Showstopper can prevent that ultimate from properly being channeled if Licorice tries to use it in a spot where he is vulnerable. But that'll be up to Broken Blade to keep an eye on those. You can see the mid lane priority being controlled by Niski here yet again, and this is a guy who's not afraid to leave his own lane and go get his team ahead if need be. Right now, he will walk through the bottom side of the TSM jungle, lay down some vision as he goes, but considering Kabe and Biofrost are all the way underneath the turret, there's not much of a play to be made here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting looking at all of C9's stats. They're basically all really, really good, so sometimes it's hard to find differences, but just comparing like the C9 players to the TSM players this split, all 5 members of C9 have better KDAs than anyone on TSM, just because they've been so dominant, and when you don't lose any games, you don't die, so your KDA becomes better.
Right.
In terms of CS difference in the laning phase at 10, the only player that is negative on the team is Niski. Everyone else is positive for C9 and also above everyone else on TSM, so this isn't to say that what Niski is doing is wrong. It is to say that he is willing to sacrifice a small amount of CS to help everyone else.
And as the dragon is taken by the side of Cloud9, TSM has to assume, yes, the jungler is down there. They know they can make a play on the top side with a numbers advantage, and they get the flash of the Licorice.
And if those of you weren't watching Countdown, Mark did a great segment on how well Licorice plays weak side top lane, because that's a situation where he got ganked by the enemy jungler, his jungler isn't there, and he actually needs to push in the wave, otherwise it's going to freeze. But he burns his flash, and C9 end up getting the first Infernal Drake, and Blabber gets further ahead on experience. So unless that flash eventually gets punished, that is strictly a win for C9.
Gotta love a top laner who you can depend on him to carry, but also just say, hey, we're gonna need you to sit underneath the turret and just not do anything in this game. It's that versatility that makes you not just good at one type of League of Legends, but the ability to adapt to all sorts of different metas is why I have such high hope for this team, why I think a lot of people are getting excited about this team. They're able to not just be pigeonholed into one specific way of playing the game.
This is a really early roam by Vulcan. Look at the Leona on the minimap. It's before the 8-minute swap. They might be considering a dive?
It's a set, though, and that Leona still doesn't have his ultimate.
All right, they're just taking blue buff. They're just trying to split up the jungle.
I'm always going to approve a play that involves not diving set, because I think the vast majority of times diving set is really bad.
Agreed.
So
see, the ratio of failed dives that also include set is really, really high in the LCS. His Grit Shield is just so absurd, as well as just the ultimate being able to keep someone in turret aggro while also taking you to safety. Yeah, it's good not to dive him. But also, they ended up getting a nice invade. Bjergsen really relies on blue buff, especially on Zillion, who has very high mana cost. So pretty intentional here that Vulcan uses that roam timing to deny. It was actually a denial of Bjergsen's blue buff.
And as we're talking about the good things about C9, I want to make sure that I bring up the fact that this game's still 0-0.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that you mentioned those very good laning stats for Cloud9, how they're all always off to a good start, TSM is the team that's up a few hundred gold now just because of turret plate advantages, because of farm advantages. This is the team that is currently winning just passively playing the game compared to their opponents. They're also looking to take this Rift Herald now. We'll see if Licorice or anybody else from C9 is able to stop it. Doesn't appear to be so, and that's Rift Herald picked up for the side of TSM.
Yeah, and also, what's really important is it's Rift Herald picked up without losing your bot lane shove. Like, sometimes teams will over-prioritize Rift Herald, then you'll look down in the bottom lane, and you'll see their turret is low on plates. Notice how TSM's bot lane turret is completely healthy while they're able to get this Rift Herald. So, yeah, Captain Flowers, the first 9 minutes have been well played by TSM.
Licorice tried to dash through Broken Blade there during the Haymaker, but the hitbox actually starts at the base of the champion, not the start of the rectangle as it appears, so he couldn't get behind him in time, still took a boatload of true damage. The trade ends up going pretty even, but you can see Broken Blade building himself up a 20 CS lead over his opponent there in that top side with this set. There's a reason it has a 70% win rate in LCS. Just so damn difficult to deal with this guy in a 1v1 situation as Vulcan and Finn now have the opportunity to push up this bottom lane, get it underneath the turret, maybe take some plate money for themselves. Niski goes over the wall.
Okay.
But the chicken is taken out there as Bjergsen will just farm up these minions. Niski won't get too much of an opportunity to pour too much damage onto him.
Yeah, mid lane is currently experiencing what we call blue buff difference, where one mid laner gets to spam everything and the other one doesn't. Dardoch is able to make sure he secures his Raptors, so that blue buff difference ends up not mattering that much. And now TSM bringing the farm up top.
This is a party. Broken Blade, he flashes into the face breaker, into the showstopper, and there you go. First blood for TSM. Dardoch summoning Shelly with 4 people here. They're going after the turret. Ben does a good job utilizing the ulti to keep the minion wave away. Biofrost already going to be killed here in retaliation. Over the wall goes Blabber. He's able to find the damage onto Dardoch. It's a 2-for-1 for C9. Shelly gets 2 plates to make the gold come out even, but C9 bites back.
There was about 4 seconds where it looked like TSM was winning. Right after they get first blood, you're like, they get first blood, I don't even have time to say they still have Rift, and then they're double killed. Just like that. Now C9 can rotate down with these death timers and secure Drake too. This play right here is really good. They do the swap. They already have Rift. The idea is kill Licorice, drop Rift, get the plates, rotate down for Dragon. So from here, awesome. They probably don't need to use the Recon ultimate, but that's fine. Here though, you don't expect C9 to go in so aggressively knowing their player's still dead, but Niski is here, Bjergsen is not. So it's actually a 4v4 where one team has ultimates and the other team doesn't. That's why C9 is able to win this. They burn Leona ultimate and MF ultimate to get the win. And that fighting up top will continue while Blabber takes the Drake.
Vulcan's in a bad spot here. TSM going to be bringing in another body here through the TP. Vulcan gets himself away. It's Licorice underneath the turret. Turret still has 1.5 plates worth of HP. TSM with 4 members here in the top side. Vulcan thinking about whether or not it may be worth to try to help his ally. Licorice will be dove on there, trying to just buy as much time as possible. Vulcan wanted to hang around, but is he hanging around too long? Niski makes his way up here into the fight now. Ulti comes out from Kabe, but he's going to be finished off. Finn now able to put down a lot of damage onto these guys. Free firing Vulcan here on the front line now going to be blocking up everybody from making their way into the fight. Into the stasis he goes. Still there in vulnerable range. As there comes your showstopper, but the show is stopped for set. Dardoch's underneath the turret. Biofrost very low. Bullet time, baby! It's not going to find the kills, but it makes TSM head to the hills. Niski goes forward. Another bomb strapped to him. Can he find the damage? The Drowsy is down. The Battle Star is weaved through TSM. And C9 are 5-3.
The Shed ultimate at the end, Captain Flowers, to keep Niski alive, going through.
I can only say so many words per minute, man.
That was an incredible fight, and this is the thing that sometimes sets C9 apart. Blabber wasn't there. That was an undermanned fight. They just outplay you. Now, this is usually where you should probably just tell your top laner, sorry, bud, you're dead.
Yeah.
Vulcan tries. He actually misses his ultimate there, and Licorice does go down. It does buy a lot of time, and Niski teleports in. What's interesting here is they get good focus down onto Kabe, and Bjergsen's TP doesn't make it in until he can ult Dardoch. Ideally, you're ulting a higher damage target rather than your Jarvan, but this dive, it just keeps coming. Like, way over aggression by Broken Blade right there because he thought he could trade 1 for 2. He thought they killed Sven and Vulcan there. They do not. This is where the fight gets really interesting. Watch Bjergsen's bombs and the way Niski interacts with them. He predicts the flash. So that stalls it. Here you think surely Niski stomps. He uses the borrowed flash. He weaves this. Bjergsen needed to block this, but he was thinking about the kill, right? He did land the bomb on the R side of Niski, but didn't account for the Shen ultimate, so they're unable to trade the kills back. What an absurdly entertaining fight.
C9 comes out on top, but TSM now starting up another fight. And they found their initiation. They found the kill into Vulcan. They're going to make it 2 onto Blabber. Bullet time over the wall. Not going to find a revenge kill, but Niski's able to grab one over the wall now instead. Dardoch under pressure in his own Cataclysm. Niski looking for the damage. Instead, Niski's going to be killed. Tries to fire off the Sleepy Trouble bubble, but he is gone. A double kill for Bjergsen. And TSM take that fight.
TSM will not go quietly into the sea, Captain Flowers. They're willing to fight for theirs.
Must have been a wake-up call for him, as now it's a 3v1 play coming out again. Vulcan will move up. He will try to protect his top laner, and he will fail. Ben manages to join the fight. He puts some auto attacks into Broken Blade. 2 more will do it. There you go. Double taps him with that as Dardoch runs away through the brush. Bjergsen still maintaining his position up here on the top side. Biofrost has the opportunity to jump on Sven, but does not want to take it. They know Blabber is nearby. Not exactly what they want to be jumping into here. C9 even with TSM slightly behind. It's TSM with a gold lead at 15 minutes. Has any team had a gold lead over Cloud9 at 15 minutes so far this split?
That's a great question for the stats team. I actually don't know because we were looking at some stats earlier, Captain Flowers. C9 has almost a historically good first 15 minutes of the game, but everything we keep saying when we're talking about the C9 is I want to see them in close games. I want to see them when they are behind. So I am thrilled that we have a close competitive game now, 15 minutes in. Pay attention to where the gold is. We have 4 kills on Sven's Misfortune and 2 kills on Bjergsen's Zillion, but at almost 7,000 gold Sven, and they are just punishing Licorice. He is flashless. They are going where the Shen ult can't help them, but C9 is answering on the other side of the map with the Rift Herald. This is going to be potentially a multi-turret trade even. Let's see if C9 continue to push for 2.
TSM will withdraw 2 of their members from this bottom side. They know Kabe's enough to push this down on his own. If Licorice tries to make a move onto him, they can leave one of those guys behind to help out. Shelly will fall there in the top side. Tier 2 turret down to 25%, but critically does not fall.
Usually teams that give up the first 2 Drakes, which is something TSM has done a lot this split in trying to keep gold close or get an advantage, you want to fight over the 3rd. So right now, Ocean Drake up. Bjergsen has a good amount of power right here. Let's see them fight.
Niski goes for some early damage before the fight begins. Vulcan's going to be the man on the front line here yet again. That's normally where he wants to be. Bullet time coming out, but into the back line goes Broken Blade with the showstopper. So much CC, so much damage. TSM will crush Cloud9 into the dirt. A triple kill for Kabe.
And he's going to have the Zillion to keep him alive in the late game. That's the fight they needed to break this game open. This game's so fast, Captain Flowers, I didn't quite see the setup for that, but it did look like they were able to find multiple C9 carries within that Jarvan and Rakan engage.
Let's take another look.
So there's no vision set up for C9. They're trying to walk in to get vision, and that's when Dardoch goes in. So once he's in, Vulcan says, all right, I need to frontline and tank, but he misses the engage on Akabe and ends up really not doing anything because he hits the cleanse Zaya, and then the combo. Dardoch set Rakan Zillion bombs. It's just a stun lock on 4 people of C9. C9 needs to spread, but they didn't know where TSM was coming from and have what ends up being a sloppy move towards Drake that propels TSM into the lead.
We've been talking a lot about soup this split, my friend, and Jarvan just poured himself a big old bowl, and they threw some damage in there. They seasoned it with some AoE. They popped some ultis. Man, that was delicious if you're a TSM fan, but if you're Cloud9, that's some indigestion just waiting to happen. This team is now in a spot that we have not seen them in. Not only are they in a close game in the 15 to 20 minute mark, they are in a game that they are dangerously close to starting to slip away from in the 15 to 20 minute mark, as their opponents have showcased the ability to do what very few have been able to do. None have been able to do so far in out team fighting them.
Exactly, that's what we just saw right there. They're going for Bjerg.
Bjergsen will eat the sleepy trouble bubble. The CC comes down, the stun goes through, but the ulti is there in time. You're talking about fast fingers, Bjergsen? He knows exactly where the R key is, my friend, and he is not going to allow them to get the better of him.
How quickly can you self-target R? You're just praying there's a stun lock window that doesn't get you on, and he's able to do that. Gosh, I don't even know where the missed stun was in that burst combo for Bjergsen to live. And yeah, Captain Flowers.
0 ping's a hell of a drug.
2,500 goal lead here for TSM. Licorice's Shen has not looked effective. TSM has relentlessly attacked it. But I think the more important thing in all of this, if you're looking towards TSM, is that they have relentlessly attacked it while Bjergsen hasn't fallen behind him yet. Because I think something that's happened in too many of TSM's losses is they will send 4 people to a turret, they will not dive, they will go back, and they will be down 500 gold more. What's happening this game is when they go. And they're not having that level of hesitation that we've seen in so many of their defeats this split.
And the fact that you have an 80 carry with a free aggro drop in Xayah, the fact that you have a mid laner with a targetable Guardian Angel to any ally in Zilean. This team is so hard to actually catch out of place and punish, as we saw with the attempted dive onto Bjergsen in the mid lane. It bodes that much better for this team to prevent Cloud9 from being able to catch them off guard as the game moves forward. Kabe just now completing that second major crit item, having the Infinity Edge and the Essence Reaver together means this guy will be doing so much damage in these team fights.
And there's the nice stun by Bjergsen. You can see he wins that trade every time Niski goes for something aggressive by double bobbing the site that Niski presses R from. But as we're saying that, Sven walked into a ward, and the side lanes are getting pressured so much by TSM in this game. Flowers, like, look at the position of that bot lane wave. Let me actually make the minimap bigger. Look at the position of that bot lane wave pushed up here. Look at where Sven has to catch this wave. That allows the rest of TSM to move in here and get vision control. And it's just making it riskier and riskier for C9 to defend this only once fell mid lane tier 1 turret.
What I want to see here from Cloud9 is utilizing this Zoe and this Lee Sin. Try to find yourself a pick opportunity as TSM pushes up and takes more of these turrets. Kabe eats the damage. Tier 1 mid in some trouble. Sleepy Trouble going out, going down. Mid turret falls for the second time here. This split Zillion ulti coming through, and that's a very clutch save. Vulcan's going to die here yet again as more damage goes through from the side of Cloud9.
Oh, he's
but it's still not enough.
Oh my God.
Wombo combo! Licorice is the only man standing. Good God, these TSM team fights are a thing to see.
This is looking more and more like C9's first loss of the decade, as well as the spring split, Captain Flowers. They just keep going. Every time C9 has tried that this split, it has worked. They have out-team fought every single opponent. It does not look like that is working today, as TSM win another team fight and take the Baron against C9.
Let's take another look at how it went down here near this tier 1.
So they want to defend this tier 1, and they think the Dardoch is extended. Now they blow a lot of burst into him, but the Zillion ult is there to save. So actually that's about 2,500 damage that is negated by the Zillion ult. The bullet time is not able to sync with CC for C9, and now it's TSM's chance to turn. The fact that Biofrost held his quickness that long into the fight is the biggest thing the turn did. All of TSM CC was then layered for the re-engage that C9 attempted, and to me that's what turned the fight.
6,000 gold ahead of their opponents now. TSM will tie up that Drake count. It's exactly what you mentioned earlier. Give up the first 2, who cares? We'll get them later as long as you don't give them number 3, as long as you don't give them that soul point. And then take over the game with the advantages you accrued in the meantime. TSM, they have 3 turrets to their name so far. All 3 tier 2s still standing on the side of Cloud9. You would have to think those are the targets here with this Baron power play. We'll see what TSM can make of it.
And we might not have much time with how aggressive TSM has been left in this game, because I think they're going to try and dive this turret right away just to set some stakes. There's some organizational pride on the line here, Captain Flowers. TSM has the best start in LCS history at 14-0. They don't want C9 to be able to have the 18-0 split. TSM is now the first team to take Baron against C9 all split, and they're looking to be the first ones to defeat them.
A team that has fallen from grace since their years of domination, fighting for one of those titles they established a while back, one of those streaks that they were able to have running for so very long. We'll see if they can stop that Cloud9 war machine. It's looking good. Broken Blade, making sure those minions stay enchanted there in the mid lane. They take down that tier 2. The gold lead gets to almost 7,000 here now. Baron still with 60 seconds left to go.
Don't want to say must win for TSM, but this week, when you looked at it on the calendar, was a huge test. They play C9 today, and they play FlyQuest as well, the top 2 teams in the LCS. They need to win these games, and they need to make this Baron count.
Well, here it goes. Vulcan and the rest of Cloud9 are deciding they're going to fight here at the tier 3 turret. Niski's in trouble, and with your mid laner already down, it's never a good sign. Dardoch has fallen on the side of TSM. It is a 4v4. Cloud9 contemplating, do they want to continue fighting here or just let the inhibitor go? Looks like letting that inhibitor fall is the choice, and it's an even trade.
So 1 for 1, but the inhibitor goes over to TSM. They'll take it. That's now a 14-stack Medjai's on Bjergsen and a 3-item Kabe. So they're confident they're going to be powered up for the next fight. I think the biggest things to look for in the upcoming fights is just Bjergsen's health bar. He's 509. He's the guy that can save others the same way that TSM has been attacking Licorice to prevent Stand United. C9 need to attack Bjergsen to prevent the Chrono Break. There's no cleanse, there's no QSS, there's no Mikhails. If somehow Vulcan or Licorice's Shen or Blabber's Lee can get an engage onto Bjergsen, I think that's the only way C9 comes back here.
But it must be flawless. Even a fraction of a second that you give him to cast his R. Spells have a 0.25 second cast time in League of Legends. And if you're given that quarter of a second, the plan fails, Bjergsen gets his revive, and we've seen what happens time and time again this game.
Yeah.
Cloud9 is running out of chances here. 7,000 gold down. They still have 2 inhibitor turrets remaining they could attempt to defend. A tier 2 as well, but the fight is going to be started now by Dardoch and the rest of TSM. Solar Flare's not going to find much. Sven's on the front line. That's not the guy you can afford to lose here early on in the fight. The bullet time goes through, but Sven's going to be killed here and now. Over the wall goes Dardoch. He's sleepy, he's in trouble, but he's resurrected. Bjergsen is right there, ready to go. Niski's got the bomb on his head. Safeguard's not enough. C9 carries down.
Bjergsen now dominating. Without the Baron, they look to end this game.
It's 5v3 on the Nexus turret. It's Cloud9 having to defend their Nexus. They cannot do it. Nexus turret number 1 falls. Nexus turret number 2 under pressure. Blabber goes in, but he cannot defend. If it bleeds, you can kill it. And Cloud9 are defeated by TSM.
Right when TSM needed it most, they pull out the victory against the previously undefeated and what looked to be unbeatable Cloud9. And there have been a ton of questions, valid questions, about TSM this split, Captain Flowers. They have looked bad at times.
Yeah.
They have looked awful.
Just last week, they lost to CLG.
They lost to the last place team last week, as you said. But here today, I think that experimentation that they have been doing in their champion select found a level of stability. They went back to the Zyricon, their most successful duo. They now move to 5-0 on the split with that. And the one curveball they threw was Bjergsen's Zillion, one of his best champions of all time when he plays it. And they made it look good.
There's a reason he's got